Howdy folks, welcome to another fun episode with a top 5 with the Fast Lane Truck. I've got
Andre
and
Kent with MrTruck.com.
And this is the top 5 pros and cons diesel versus gas, which is featured in Truck Nuts, our new book.
Chapter 7?
Yep. Kent and I co-wrote the book, TFLtruck's Guide to Pickup Trucks.
That's right.
Truck Nuts. And why do we call it Truck Nuts?
Because we're nuts about trucks. We're just
We're
kind of
crazy.
crazy.
We're crazy about trucks, right? And you wrote a chapter in the book as well.
I certainly did. So let's get right to it because we got a lot of information out there. Now guys, there's a pro and con for everything, but when it comes to gas versus diesel, there are two camps. However, these two campy guys are going to go through both of them, and you guys, please respond down below with what you think. Okay, the first one. Initial price.
Initial price of the truck. This is a big deal, right?
Yeah, this is good because you drive a diesel, I drive a gas. So we're really paired up for this. But you know, the price of these diesels now has gone up so much. I mean, you look at the Ram with the Aisin transmission, you're over $11,000 combination transmission and diesel.
On top of
the regular truck. So you got that to look at. So that means it could take, with the extra cost of everything, 150,000 miles on that truck just to break even on what you paid extra for the diesel part of it. Now, the mid-size is another thing. Because they're only, what, 5,000, 4,000, it's actually pretty reasonable.
Well, about 4,000.
Yeah, you could be $60,000 and pay for the diesel option. So, you know, it's changed.
Wait, on which truck? On the mid-size?
On the mid-size.
Oh.
Yeah.
$60,000 mid-size truck?
No,
Whoa,
60,000 miles.
Oh, miles.
Because we're talking about cost per mile to run, and, you know, if you're looking at 150,000 miles to pay off the big ones, you're looking at, you know,
less on the smaller ones.
Dramatically less. So you may actually be able to afford the smaller diesels for that reason, but it still goes all to it, you know. Do you need to tow all the time? Do you tow big loads, you know? So these are all part of the equation.
And how long do you plan to keep your truck?
Right. If you trade every 2 years or every 3 years, or you do the lease thing, the diesel, I mean, unless you're towing with it all the time, it's hard to pay off.
But this goes right to number 4, which is fuel mileage, because obviously diesels are going to get better gas mileage than gas, right?
Right.
And they also have to have DEF added to them in order to do that. So there's sort of that trade-off.
Yeah, there's a lot of numbers in that equation because
Okay.
you're talking about more expensive fuel filters, more expensive oil changes, more expensive mechanics, and the DEF like you brought up. So all that enters into whether this is going to pay off or not. And, you know, so it's not just an easy thing. Most people, in my opinion, will buy the diesel because of the power, not because they need it. If you need it, you need it. If I towed big trailers all the time like I used to, I would be driving a diesel.
And I think the line between diesel and gas is not as clear as it used to be.
That's very true.
So I think about 10 years ago, you know, diesels and pickup trucks were, you know, they went together like peanut butter and jelly. But the gas engines are so much better now. You know, they're a lot cheaper at beginning price, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, fuel economy and gas prices, and it's getting closer and closer, so the line is being blurred.
Well, that's just it. The gas vehicle and the diesel vehicle, when you're just driving around town or driving in the country, it's not that much difference mile per gallon. If you're pulling diesels in, it's dramatically different. So that's what you got to decide. How often do you drive around town and go to Starbucks? How often do you pull a trailer? So
now we talk about this in the book too.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, in chapter 7.
Yeah, it's an important decision because it's an expensive decision too. If you're looking at 11,000 premium on a Ram, you want to make the right choice. That's a lot of payment built into your truck.
That's true, but then there's the other side of it, which goes to number 3, and that is emissions and rolling coal.
That's fun, right?
Well, I mean, that's part of it. But so, I mean, let's talk about that because emissions are really strict nowadays on diesel vehicles. It's not like it used to be.
That's true. In Colorado, you got to have your test like every 2 years.
Right.
So you've got that extra cost on it, and there's all those different parts, particularly diesel filter, different than in catalytic converter. All that stuff keeps getting added to these diesels to scrub the diesel to get the particulate matter down, and that takes away power, takes away fuel economy.
And
So
raises the price of the whole system.
Exactly. That's part of the problem is, you know, the EPA is so involved, you know, unless you live in Kansas or someplace where there's not emissions testing, you know, you end up with all these things on your truck that rob power.
And also regen mode. I mean, in my opinion, that's not really convenient, right? So you're towing a big load, and your truck decides, oh, I need to regen right now.
Right.
And some trucks don't even tell you when they're going to regen mode.
Right.
And it basically heats up your exhaust system, right, to a higher temperature, so you can burn off some soot.
Yeah.
But you're losing a little bit of power doing this, right?
Right, and it costs you more fuel.
And
while
more
it's going
fuel.
on.
So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of trade-offs here.
And the other side of it is there's a lot of guys out there that love to blow the stuff out of their exhaust. Guys who like to roll coal.
Yeah.
And they actually have to usurp some of the systems in order to make it happen, right?
Right, and just like with the aftermarket equipment, sometimes they overfuel. That causes all the black smoke. So, there's a few companies out there on their aftermarket that are like, Gale, Banks. They are designed to not smoke like that with their improvements.
Right.
I like that theory. But a lot of them aren't. They're just overfueling, so that's what it is. There's unused fuel out there.
That some people consider that a plus. I mean, there are guys out there who love to drive the diesels and pretend that they're in a big rig with the big stacks hanging out top, and then,
Yeah, that's part of the fun, I guess.
blow it all over a Prius when they're passing by. Well, actually, that goes into number 2 because we're talking about maintenance. And it's one of the issues about these trucks. Sometimes you're going to be blowing that black crap out of the back of your truck when you don't want to, or you're going to be paying way too much money for maintenance, which this man has an interesting story
I have a
about.
story. I have a 2002 Chevy Duramax, and I didn't buy it brand new. I got it when it was a few years old. But about 2 years ago, I was seeing silver smoke, gray smoke coming out of my exhaust pipe, which is not good news if you're driving a diesel. It was basically a sign of bad injectors. And my truck had about 150,000 miles on it. So obviously I was pretty upset because, that engine is not that old, right? But of course I wasn't a perfect owner. I ran it out of fuel.
Twice.
Really? You're gonna go there?
That's the
Sorry.
rumor.
And that's bad for your injectors, running out of fuel. So, it's a bad thing to do. But it cost me almost, $4,500 to replace injectors.
And that was a good deal.
Yeah, it was that
was a
labor.
good deal, yeah.
Yeah, that's...
So that's a big cost when you have a used truck. And it was a decision: do I keep my truck? That's a big investment into your vehicle, and it's down for a while because you have to send it to a shop. It's like a 10-hour job or a 12-hour job, and so it's no good.
Well, part of this question is, how long do you keep a truck? And I think that nowadays, with that high-end maintenance cost, you actually are keeping them for less amount of time than they used to. There's guys out there with 350, 400,000 miles on diesels, and that makes financial sense to them because they've been continuously maintaining the vehicle. Now, the price is so much more to maintain these vehicles, so does it make sense to hold on to them as long as, say, you would a gas vehicle?
That's true. I remember in the old days, say 10 years ago, we used to calculate 50 to 80,000 miles you paid for the diesel option. Now, like I say, it's closer to 150,000 miles. And if you're not really towing heavily, which goes into number 1, the towing capacity is diesels. That's confusing too because, if you go by the rules, you get a gas cab, single cab, 2-wheel drive. Somehow that the manufacturer will show you that will tow more than this crew cab 4-wheel drive diesel.
Yes.
Well, we all know it's not true, but that's how they go. It's the weight of the vehicle is what you add to the weight of the trailer.
That's right.
So the lighter the truck, the more trailer capacity. But that's not how it really works in the real world. And you can't beat a diesel for towing up that gauntlet, towing heavy loads. So if you're towing all the time, you really need that diesel. But if you're not, if you're using this to go to work in, go into Starbucks in, that diesel may never pay off. But if you don't interested in the payoff, that's your choice.
Well, yeah, and like you said, it's the common conception is that the diesel should tow more, right?
Right.
But because the diesel engines is so heavy, you have a heavy transmission, which is a heavy-duty transmission, and then we all like crew cabs, right, and 4x4s. So it just depends where you live, right? If you live where you don't have a lot of elevation change, where you're towing across town, a gas engine will work great, right? But as soon as you start towing up at 11,000 feet like we do, you gotta have a diesel to help you get over the hill, basically.
Yeah, and a good example was that black truck we had not too long ago, the Midnight Edition.
Yeah.
That thing only had, a 13,000-pound gooseneck capacity? It
Right.
was really surprising.
But it was a diesel truck,
It was
yeah.
a diesel, long bed, 4-wheel drive, loaded to the max. And so that's part of the decision you have to make is, will I have enough capacity out of it?
Exactly. Actually, a really simple way of looking at that is what Nissan's done with their XD. You have with the diesel, obviously it tows more, but the payload is less than the gas engine, and that's because of the extra weight of the diesel. So that definitely does throw people for a loop. Well, let's go to the bonus round here, and that is resale and aftermarket, because those are two things that are extremely important to people who buy trucks, right?
Yeah. And resale to me is a little confusing because I'm looking at used heavy duty. Now, gas light duty is different. Gas heavy duty, you can hardly find the gas. Most people are going to find diesels. So you're kind of limited to that area or a few gas engines. So that's part of that choice. And, you don't, especially on a diesel, because like we talked about, more cost per hour for the mechanic, all these other maintenance issues. If you get a diesel that was just rode hard and put up wet, it may cost you a fortune once you get that. You may have a truck payment and a repairment payment.
Well, yeah, that goes to the other chapter in the book, new versus used.
Right.
Which truck would you rather have? Would you rather have a brand new truck or a used truck? But I think as far as resale goes, diesel trucks tend to, they're better value, on the used market because, first of all, there was a conception that they last longer.
Right.
And, the fuel economy, the benefits of that.
All right. Well,
do you agree?
Yeah. That's part of that. And we talk about aftermarket. That's one thing nice about a used truck. If the warranty's gone, you can start throwing aftermarket stuff on there and worry about warranty. So you got that. But I think it's easier to modify a diesel engine. It's easier to get horsepower and torque from tuners and all the programs you use than it is a gas.
propane.
Yeah.
Nitrous.
I had CNG on my diesel, and that was wonderful. The combination. So.
But I think because diesel's engines are turbocharged, that's where all of them are. You can just plug in the computer, just say, I want 100 horsepower now, and you get more horsepower. Of course, you can modify gas engines as well.
Indeed, but with modification of a diesel engine, I believe you did that.
Yes, that's part of my injector problem.
That's right. All right, well, hey guys, thank you so much for joining us. All the information you have here, there's a lot more of it in the new book, Truck Nuts. Remember, when you're looking for it, put in book somewhere or else you'll find something that you may not want to find.
But it's on pre-order now. It goes live on sale on September 27th. You can pre-order it now at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and independent bookstores.
Yes.
Oh, and don't forget, these two boys are going to be at the Texas State Fair signing autographs for the book and, of course, selling them as well. So help put old guy here through college.
Yeah, I want to go to college so bad.
For the Fast Lane Truck, this is Nathan.
Andre.
And Kent.
We'll see you next time.
Hey guys, this is Andre Smirnov for the Fast Lane Truck, and with me as always,
Kent with MrTruck.com.
and I'm really glad you're here because we're towing a heavyweight
Yes, 30,000 pound trailer.
with the 2016 Ram 3500 Heavy Duty going up the Super Ride Gauntlet. I cannot wait.
Limited.
Limited edition.
Every toy known to man.
Nice. Now the torque wars in heavy-duty pickup trucks are in full swing. This, of course, is a 6.7-liter straight-six Cummins turbo diesel with 385 horsepower and 900 pound-feet of torque